I want to welcome you to the last webinar of 2024. Can you believe how fast this year has gone? I cannot. But we want to let you all know that we are happy that you have all joined us in 2024 for these webinars. It was something new, and it is something that we are going to continue in 2025. We are looking at doing a little bit of reformatting. And this year, we're going to tell stories of collaboration in our small rural communities in Missouri. So we're looking at different projects in your downtown communities that have utilized a local government, your businesses, your nonprofits, and funding agencies to come together to get projects done. And it's kind of going to be like how did they do that? For projects in small communities. So we would love to know what the stories are in your communities so that we can consider you for a possible webinar speaker or presenters in 2025. We have set the dates for our conference, CEC conference in 2025 in Excelsior Springs, September 30th through October 2nd. It is a week later than we have done in the past, and we hope that is more convenient for several of our rural communities across the state to join us in Excelsior Springs. It is going to be a wonderful event. Our first webinar on February 7th is tentatively scheduled for Excelsior Springs to tell their story of collaboration. And so you will get a sneak peek at what you can see at our conference in September. So those are my announcements, and I would ask are our Plattsburgh folks ready to go?
Yes, we are ready.
I am very excited for the following conversation with the Plattsburgh R3 School District. We have Sandy Steggall with us, their superintendent, and Lucas Delameter, who is their high school technology business teacher. And I just found out he's their shop teacher as well today. And they have several students with them. And, I will say, just to preface this conversation, a few years back, I had the privilege of attending the ribbon cutting for the Tigers on Main, which is their school-run store on downtown Plattsburgh. And they have such a creative and innovative approach to ensuring that students are receiving the individualized instruction and support that they need to be successful after graduation. And whether their goal is to own a business of these students or not, the school district is instilling an entrepreneurial mindset into these students. And I think that is bound to pay off in the future, whether they open their own business. So I'm going to turn it over to Sandy and Lucas and let them introduce their students and share with us this amazing story of innovative thinking in our school districts.
Great. Well, welcome. Thank you for having us today. Again, I'm Sandy Steggall, the superintendent here at Clint County R3 School District, and we've kind of chunked the presentation up in kind of the beginning, the middle, and the continued journey. So year one was 4 years ago. Some of these students sitting here were on the ground level of getting this up and going. And anytime that we were reflecting on our journey and we're like, oh my gosh, these students are now seniors. And so it's so awesome to look back and see just the progression of how far we've come and all that we've learned in the last 4 years. So 4 years ago, we were just coming off of COVID, I believe, and had put in for a grant. And at the time, I serve on our local chamber here in Plattsburgh, and lots of conversations about our small rural communities and businesses downtown, and how do we keep a rural community thriving as far as from an economic development standpoint. And I'm a firm believer that the school district should be part of that solution. And so if we kind of what can we do to help our community? And so we bought a storefront. So we bought the old flower shop uptown, and from the ground up, we partnered with an introduction to business class that Miss Dial, our teacher at the time, was facilitating. And what better way to learn about business than to start a new one from the ground up? So as we go through this journey, I'm excited to hear from the students because that's exactly what it's been. It was not perfect by any means. And we, I guess, tried to embrace those fail forward opportunities that happened along the way. But before I turn it over to them to talk about the beginning, I want to say, if I had one thing to recommend to a school district or a business partnering with a school district is you have to have a great group of students like the ones sitting at this table paired with awesome staff members who are facilitators and coaches of the conversation, and instead of telling them what to do. And so you have to really have two parts to make this work. So I have Ada Golnick who's going to get us started. Her and Addison were on the ground level of getting us up and going. And the picture on the left, which I love, is like the first picture, I think, in front of the building that we had just bought. So I will turn it over to her and talk about really the beginning stages of this adventure.
Yeah, it was 4 years ago. Pretty crazy to think. But I just remember we walked into our intro to business class one day in the second semester, and we were just like, we're making a storefront now. It was kind of a shock, and we had like 2 or 3 months to get it going because April was our opening day. And so we got into our groups of who was going to run what. And I was the HR and operations manager. Addison was project manager. And yeah, we just kind of were thrown into it and we failed forward.
It was really good because I think that the group that was chosen in the class was a good group to lead, and everybody was chosen for a good role that they'd be good in. And I thought I was pretty well at making sure everybody was on task.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hard to get it going at first because we didn't know what we were doing, but we just kind of rolled on with it and it started going. And I even think that picture was after we got into the store and started working because we painted that.
Yeah,
that was like the first thing we did.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because we didn't see the storefront for like at least a month after we started the project.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of.
Yeah, and the first time we walked through, it was pretty crazy how much work that we had to get done. And as soon as we walked in, we all had ideas on how to start doing it. And we remember we had chart paper on the wall and we just started listing out ideas of what needed to get done.
Yeah. We phased it out. The first time we went to the store, we had the chart paper and we divided everything up into phases and prioritized each project. And I think one of the cooler parts for the seniors at the time was that we had a lot of seniors who were more into the trades. And so we just had a bunch of them just come into the store and just basically gut the thing.
Yeah, they did a lot of our renovations.
Yeah.
That was pretty helpful.
I remember specifically a student who was in the HVAC program at Hilliard, and he came in and like told me a whole list of stuff that needed to be done, but he was like, I got it. I can do this for you. And so I share the story all the time because I think it's important worth sharing. And that is that sometimes school isn't a comfortable place for people to show those strengths. And so if you're not traditionally, if school isn't your thing, in the I want to say in the state that our system is at right now, then there's not a lot of confidence or I guess an ability to show off your strengths. If trades and another area other than your 4 core subjects is a strength of yours, there's not a time to kind of show off those strengths. And I will never forget, there was one student, walking in the hallways, kind of shoulders are always forward and when he went in that store and was able to work on those projects, I mean, the shoulders went back. He was proud. It was like the first time, which was like all this time you're in school and it's the first time, like really the shoulders went back and he was like so proud to show off his strengths and his knowledge outside of, 4 of our content areas. These are some of the pictures of our grand opening up there on the left-hand side. Addison and Ada, do you want to talk about like product development? And I know that was another manager's responsibility, but kind of talk about the whole product and how what was selected originally and how that came to be.
We wanted to start mainly with either student-led businesses or small businesses in town. And so the first place we contacted for product was Tiger Threads, which the special education class runs, and that's their t-shirt business. And so we talked to them, and they're our main, if not only, clothing one. They were in the beginning at least. And then from there, we looked into the design studio, what projects could kids in those classes start making for us. And we just talked to some other small businesses around town. I think we got some like goat milk soap. That was another main one in the beginning.
I remember this. I remember getting products in pretty good because I think Kira was our product person, and she had all these ideas, and she basically had a list of things that she would like the design studio to make for the store, and she gave me the list, and I think we went and just found kids in the class like, hey, do you want to do this? Mm-hmm. And we got that started. And I at least I remember feeling that it was really cool to give the Tiger Threads a storefront, because they were basically the only thing they did before this was all stuff for the school. Like they did softball shirts, all the sports shirts and everything, and that's really as far as they got. But now they get to do a lot of more cool things now. They have a storefront through us.
And
that's pretty cool. And a website, yeah.
And the little girl in the bottom corner there is a student of ours, and she has flowers that she brought in during the summer. And so really trying to like build up that entrepreneurship. Students, there's several students in our hallways that can build, create, and grow amazing things. And so we want to give them an opportunity to sell and show off and see what it's like.
Some of the things that we struggled with was the budget, because nobody would really tell us what the budget was. So that made designing and planning pretty difficult, especially on the renovation and decoration side, figuring out all the paint costs and all of that sort of stuff.
We learned really quickly how to do things well and in-house, because that's where we brought in a lot of the Hilliard kids, because we're like, no way can we pay somebody to come in and fix this. So we're just going to get a bunch of these seniors who know how to do this to come in and do it for us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of hands-on stuff because we couldn't outsource to anybody.
Yep. And I remember specifically a presentation that somebody put together, and because it was carpet in the storefront, and they came in and pitched to me why we needed to change out the flooring, and you might as well do it now before we get all this product in, and here's the money, but it'll be well spent. And so they really did a good job of kind of researching all that, and then also presenting it to me to make sure it gets done.
I think one of the only other problems that we kind of ran into towards the end actually was the entire time we were building this, it was a team of mainly freshmen at the time, and we were told that the reason why mainly freshmen were chosen was so we could have the next 4 years with the store, and then
to like get it off the ground and everything.
Yeah, and then the next person who's in charge of the store, Kay, she came in, and by the time we came back from summer break, everything was changed, and now it was only seniors who were allowed to work, and that was only for a couple months that was an issue.
Yeah, because I worked there over the first summer to worked scheduling people and just making sure that the HR side of it was still running. And I remember a lot of things changed that summer. I went on vacation for a week, and I came back and half the store was gone and changed. So it was an adventure for sure.
I haven't been a part of it since freshman year because of that big change. I didn't come back the next year because they only said like we only want seniors working on it now.
Yeah, and the next school year I didn't work with it, but then the following summer I came back again and still did the HR part of it and scheduling and hiring people.
And what were some of the other roles at we had product development?
We had Dakota was our design
Design
specialist.
I think Elizabeth was marketing, wasn't she?
Yeah, and
Good
we had
marketing.
James, who was our senior correspondent.
Yes.
Yeah, because we had all the seniors doing all of our stuff for us.
Freshmen bossing around seniors.
Yep.
My brother was not happy. My brother was in a senior class at the time.
Gotcha. So, Mr. Delameter and I can kind of tag team. So the nice part about Tigers on Main too is lots of products have come through. And one of the, I would say, big selling points was to get students work, and whether it be from the art class or our FACS class has now started making candles, and they do soaps. They did a unit on barbecue rubs. And so now we have like a tiger rub for barbecue meat at the store, and they get to pick the names of candles. And some of them are probably in that class, but I don't know, it just kind of ups the ante. And I think probably students put a little bit more into the quality of their work if it's going to go to a storefront downtown and somebody's going to actually purchase it. We have, in fact, this week, I think Mr. Atkins' geometry class did these trees, Christmas trees that people can put together. And so those are sold at the store. So I love that different classes have kind of tapped into things that they can do and to create and make and sell at the store, which is great.
I think Miss Logger, who's our store facilitator, she's not able to be here today, but she kind of want to talk about how she's now stepping back into this role. And she spends the beginning kind of the same way that you'll see we spend our CAPS time of front loading with a lot of the skills and the applications of how to run a business, and then they dive into actually running it. And you can see, like, she talks about the product mix and managing and all that stuff. That's where she goes next. And the CAPS and Tigers on Main, they work closely together, so we can expand more as we go on to the CAPS piece.
As Mr. Delameter was saying, like the store and the design studio, which was kind of year 2 and 3. And one of the, I say, big problems financially was we were outsourcing a lot of our transfers for our t-shirts. Mm-hmm. And they put together a proposal, and like, if we buy this machine, we'll save so much money on the backside. And really the whole point of like the product that we sell, it goes right back to the businesses. So that FACS class that I was talking about, all that money, like the store purchases it from the FACS class. And then that money just goes right back into them creating more products. And so it's a really good system of kind of cycling through money for students and classrooms to continue to do great things. But it's great that kids are thinking about like, hey, we can do some of this stuff in-house and save a lot more money. And yes, this machine might cost $10,000, but we're going to be able to make our money back in 3 years, or 2 years, if we do this now. So I love and really catering to people's and students' strengths as they come through. We had, I would say, a photographer a year ago. And so a lot of those things, like, you're able to showcase some of that and your talents in the store. And
while you're building your website,
mm-hmm.
You can have the photographer take the pictures of the product that you're putting on the website. You have website developers. I mean, you're able to look at all your students that are involved, and they all have a piece in it, because whether they were putting the floors in or running new lights, setting up the website, taking pictures, running the store, making sure the projects are on task, all that stuff is each individual showcasing, like you said, their talents mm-hmm. that they may not be able to showcase in the traditional classroom.
Right. Or decide early on, I don't want to do this. So instead of spending 4 years in school, and like, I'm going to go into human resources. And so they're able to get that experience good and bad, right? You can take anything from any experience and say, "Ooh, I don't know, I might go into a different area." Or if they're product development, I really like the marketing side of it, not necessarily the finding the products. And so it kind of gives you a good wide view of an entire business.
So with that, let me ask a question. It seems like when you first opened up, you had some products outside of the school district. You had some folks, were they making pitches to you? How were they getting their products into the store?
We went and found them.
Yeah, I think we just like went out and started talking to people and asking if they knew any small businesses that would make product for us in the beginning.
And were some of them, I would say, in-home businesses. They didn't necessarily have a storefront.
Yeah, like the Aldridges have
Yeah,
product in the store.
like people that go to craft fairs and like farmers markets and stuff. We brought in some of that stuff as well.
And that's changed, I think, over the years too. We might have a lot of student created products and then a little bit. So it kind of depends,
Mhm.
yeah, on what's driving the inventory and who's in charge of that.
So this is a picture of this semester's CAPS crew. Many of them you see here, hopefully. We're standing outside of Tenon Town Hall, which is where we operate out of daily, Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 11:30-ish. So CAPS, if you're unfamiliar, is the Center for Advanced Professional Studies. It spans across the nation, globally, actually. It's ever growing. Every time I get on a call and talk with them, they're expanding into another state, another area. It's just continuously growing. And the focus is the immersive learning, real world partnerships, and professional skills. So when we go back a little bit here to kind of figure out where this all pieces together, when Ada and Addison's freshman year, that was year one. For CAPS, that's actually year two of this whole thing. So their sophomore year. And that's whenever I jumped in into this role. And it was kind of an intro into CAPS for the staff. We were also running what we called Design Studio at the time, which was really just the CAPS experience without the name at that point. But it was a lot of front loading for staff to go out and do site visits and PD and visits and conferences and all the calls and things. I traveled all over and admin was awesome in supporting me to do that and go see and bring that stuff back and try and build that piece for here for Clinton County and not only Plattsburgh, but Lathrop and Gower and neighboring districts. So that was that staff immersion into with, like I say, there was some sprinkling of some guided CAPS experiences within that design studio. We were in the high school, and I'll hit on that here in a minute of why that piece is important. Year two, we are engaged in that CAPS experience with the students. So we're running a CAPS class in the high school again. And when I keep hitting on that, that's a big piece of the CAPS. And I kept telling my principal, and I give him a hard time all the time about this, is getting off-site and getting, if we want students not to act like students and to grow and to be professionals, then we've got to stop treating them like students, stop making them listen to bells and ask me for a pass and all these different things that I don't do with my boss. So year three, which is where we are now, we're off-site. We have a great group. I can't harp on that enough either. A great group of kids that are getting this real CAPS experience off and going, located in a local business. We are, like I said, 8:45 to 11:30-ish, 3-hour experience. Second semester, these kids they've created presentations and they've gone out and they've pitched to neighboring districts, and we're hoping to pull some students from those neighboring districts for second semester, as well as kids continue from here from Plattsburgh. You guys want to take over, introduce yourselves? And
I'm Jaden Mitchell. Obviously, this is my first year at CAPS. I had the opportunity to go to Hilliard, and honestly, it was exciting to read it and want to go to Hilliard, but Burns said I'd benefit more from CAPS, and he didn't lie. Because CAPS going in second semester, obviously we'll get internships, and we've got mine pretty much figured out. If not, we got a backup plan. And so I'll be off site first 4 hours a day and pretty much getting that real world experience. But
Tell them what you're getting it in.
technology. But otherwise, I mean, we've worked with a lot of people, worked with a lot of owners of businesses, and we've done a lot of things. So it's a wide variety, and we have a pretty good class.
Our technology director retired at the end of November. And so we did have interviews, and our new tech director should be coming on board in February. But in the meantime, Jaden is helping me out every Tuesday and Thursday, working through teacher and student tickets to make sure everything is up and running. He's figuring out what's wrong and speaking it in terms that I can understand and helping me out. So it's just a great way for him to showcase and build those connections. And I think you were in a kindergarten room yesterday, right? Checking a speaker because it wasn't working. And so those are the types of things that we want all students to be able to experience.
I'm Keely Waymire. I'm a senior, and this is my first year in CAPS as well. I think it's a really good experience because I learned to build relationships, and when I go off to do an internship, compassion and building those kind of relationships with people is going to be important because I want to be a nurse. And so this is very good for those experiences and skills to learn.
I'm Kinley Fish. I'm also a senior here. This is my first year in CAPS too. I would say that this program, like, it's so beneficial. Like, every student should try to join, just because, like, I wasn't on board with it. Our principal was like, just do it. And so I did it. And I was like, oh, okay. And so it's just so, like, you get to go out into the community and find, like, people and get to know them on another level. And also you get to work with businesses. And I never thought I'd, like, work with businesses in high school. I was like, I'm majoring in science, sticking on the science path. But, like, just seeing, like, what the other, like, there is outside of the one thing that you have your head set in stone on. It's like kind of altering, like, oh, maybe you don't want to do that. So it's just like learning that, I don't know, like, your skills, you might think you're good at one thing, but if you try something new, you get better. So
Yeah, I'm Avery Mum. I'm a senior here as well. It's my first year CAPS. And so over the summer, I knew I wanted to have an internship with our local speech pathologist, like I want to do, over at our elementary school. And so I was talking to our principal, and he once again threw me in there, telling me that I would get an internship eventually. And that was just really cool because I've definitely became more talkative and, like, a good public speaker more than I would have been if I just had an internship and that was all that I've done.
Yeah. So building on all of that, a lot of them, we're not holding kids hostage here. We're not forcing them, but it does take, I want to hit on that. It does take a great group of kids to get this off and running. And we couldn't have had a better group. And Dr. Burns knew that with these kids, and that's why he was pushing them into this experience, because they would continue to grow. They're already peaking and are on the way up. And he knew that this experience would help them continue to grow and see other avenues like many of them talked about.
To piggyback on that too, we kind of learned that the first year too with the school store. We thought, oh my gosh, we're going to build this store. Every kid's they're going to be knocking down our doors wanting to go down there and work. And the reality is that wasn't the case. The safe options for our students, in which we've created for them, is to go into a class, be told what to do, complete the work, and move on, right? So to go into a space where there's not an answer, there's not a set criteria, you don't really know what's expected of you, and it's work, right? Like, what you're experiencing, you're having to think. It's not just as easy as answering a multiple choice question. And so they're really getting these life experiences. And so I feel like we've learned that along the way of, I mean, really, I was naive thinking, oh, we're going to buy the store and everybody's going to do that. And that wasn't the case. And we trained students all these years to listen to the teacher, be told what to do, and go to your next class. And the reality is when they go out into the workforce, they're not prepared for what they're going to experience and face. That self-initiative, what their skills are. So if we can help develop those while they're here, really that's very well time spent. I also wanted to piggyback on Kinley said every student should go through this, and I'm a firm believer of that too. We have the best example I can give, I think, for the CAPS too, is you have your technical centers, so your trades and all of that, where those students are really being immersed into the workforce in that programming. But in our school, it's 15 to 20 students. Well, there's 160 other kids that what experiences are we creating for those students? And the CAPS, I always give the example, is like the business marketing, all the stuff that's not at the trade school, it kind of hits on all of those other career fields. And so they are able to get that exposure and those experiences outside of a classroom, just like our trades students are getting at their technical center.
I also want to say, like she said, that this is a place where we can go outside of school and learn to have time management was a big key thing that I think all of us learn because we have to do classes. We also have to get our projects done on time and all of that. I also want to hit on that I didn't know what I wanted to be exactly. So going into this was a good opportunity because I could research what I wanted to be and also learn time management, relationship building, all of that. And when I learned I wanted to be a nurse, it was a good opportunity because I get to go do an internship next semester when I missed out on the chance to go to Hilliard, which is a 2-year program, because I didn't know what I wanted to be. So it was just a good program for me to join and become passionate about something and have the opportunities that Hilliard kids could also have. So
them watching me fail and me figuring out that it's okay and I have the admin support that as you see year 1, year 2, year 3, every year I've made some failures and big failures, but they all are failing forward. And the kids are also seeing it and being like, hey man, that was pretty bad. And I was like, yeah, that was pretty bad. But what can we do to change that? What can we do to make it better? And focusing on that piece of it and the growth is what's huge. And I think we do that all the time with all of our projects, our client connected projects, is maybe we drop the ball on something and we try and figure out how we can, whether it's changing our time management or our project management or whatever piece that we've dropped, figuring out how we can improve it for the next time and how we can grow and get better.
And with that too, like that first year, I got some feedback when we first got started of maybe a better developed plan, going into this. And I think in education, I hear this a lot from superintendents is like, we want the plan and then we're going to work the plan. And the reality is we could have spent the next 10 years coming up with the plan. And sometimes you just got to just walk off the cliff, right? And like trust that those experiences are going to guide you through. And we were talking yesterday, it's like this, but in each of those, different students have had experiences, and that's the whole goal, is every year, like just a few more have those great experiences. And the more we can do that, the more that students are going to want to do school differently and want to engage in those experiences, even if it's hard, right? They're going to want to choose the hard and not just the easy.
So I was going to throw out there, we've talked a lot about how the school has made an impact. And can you share a little bit about how this has impacted the community and how the community has been involved with your store and CAPS for that matter?
Yes. I would say it's a huge piece. I know some of these students here, I serve as treasurer of the local chamber. And so Mr. Delameter, really, was that last year you started that?
Yeah.
He had asked, yes, he had asked for FBLA to come to those chamber meetings, which has been great. And we've continued that this year. And CAPS and FBLA representatives attend those chamber meetings. And the reality is that in small towns, it takes everybody working together, and that our students are a huge population that can make that possible. And in the meantime, they get the learning experience with that. And so really, really good partnerships. I know one student who's not here, I'll share, she helped the chamber design the banners downtown. And so when you go through the town, they went back and forth with the chamber president and the chamber staff to get new banners. And some of you guys have been in businesses, so why don't you talk a little bit about that?
So for CAPS, I'd say that we are solely community oriented. All our projects we get from the business owners in the community. We've worked with the coffee shop a lot because that's where we go, and I feel like that's where most of our projects streamline from, is going and sitting at the coffee shop and just talking about our class. So I know we've worked with her a lot. We're helping make her website, a delivery service, a pre-order system, and a social media. I think that's all we've done so far, but we've had to jump through hoops. We've had to jump through hoops with that. Personally, I'm running their delivery service. I've wanted to give up a couple times on it. I walked up to Deli the other day and I was like, I really think that this project is gonna fail. I was like, there's just no way. I couldn't see it through. And then here we are 2 weeks later. We're doing our first test run next week. So we're gonna see how it goes. But it's we strive off of the community. So our internships are coming from the community. We're reaching out and they're giving us feedback. We do projects with them.
What are some of your internships for next semester?
I'm interning at the school with our athletic trainer because that's what I'd like to do in the future.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be down at Ellis Elementary with the speech pathologist. Yeah.
Not sure yet. I am back
Medical
and
field.
forth. Yes.
Gotcha.
Mosaic or Northland Kansas City,
Mhm.
North Kansas City, sorry, or Liberty or Cameron, something.
Gotcha.
I've been in contact with all of them.
Gotcha. And we also have Harbor Hospice in town and a few nursing homes.
Yep.
I know another one of our students is interning with an attorney here in town. So that
Project
is
management.
Yep.
uh,
projects.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Cameron,
So-
right?
Yeah, that's a huge piece of it too, is the first kind of what we talked about with Tigers on Main, the first 30 days is the soft skills, the professional skills. We hammer those hard. And then we go out and we also do a downtown exploration where we're getting into businesses, we're introducing ourselves, we're talking about what's the 10th project on your list, because the understanding of we are still high school students and we have our moments and we're still learning. So things are going to take more time maybe than what the business owners think they should. So don't give us a high priority, but give us a project that you do care about so that there is buy-in and there is investment on your side and also the student side. And so continuing to grow that, also looking at adding an advisory board to the CAPS program so that we can have quarterly meetings with local business, pulling from Gower, pulling from Lathrop, Plattsburgh, and also figuring out what other skills we need to be hitting on that they need and that they're seeing the need of employees that are coming in out of high school, out of college. What's the need? How can we help facilitate and partner together so that everyone's growing and continuing to flourish?
And I think to piggyback on that too, so Northland CAPS is the CAPS program that I'd say is the closest to us.
Mhm.
And one thing that we recognized was those students, particularly their public speaking skills, which I've been blown away with. We've had a board presentation the second week of school. I think that's when, that was there. Even at Chamber this last week, I was telling Mr. Delameter, our two students got up and they were like, thank you for allowing us or letting us be here today. We're glad to be here. And just I wish I would have videotaped from like year one to now, because that is so huge. And I too believe that every student should leave here with those experiences. And so seeing that the Kansas City region had Northland caps, we're always trying to kind of steal and figure out, because I feel like our students deserve an experience like that, just like those students in Kansas City. And so what Mr. Delameter and his team have been working on is, how do we create a Northland, or not Northland caps, but Northwest region? Right now, it's Clinton County caps is what we have it underneath. The Patterson Foundation, I have to mention them, have been amazing, and have financially awarded us grants for this dream and vision that we have. And so how can we serve as a hub, similar as Hilliard and St. Joe for the trades? How can then we be a hub, a Clinton County CAPS hub for our small rural schools in the Northwest region? So we're on the
Yep.
we're on
Yep.
the right track.
Ever
So-
growing, ever changing and improving. One more, but it's really just kind of where I talk about the checking, kind of checking the boxes
Mhm.
For DESE, because that's a big piece of this. Is when I would go out that year one, and I went to Iowa, and I went to a couple different places around the area, Kansas, and I'd come back and I talked with Dr. Burns, our principal, and he was like, yeah, but how are they coding? How are they doing this? How are they doing that? And I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, I'm just telling you what's going on out there. And so we've had to still conform to the traditional model. And I think Kaylee was talking about it earlier, where we still have our assignments that we do. So they're achieving business credits while they're with us. And that's what it is right now. We're looking to expand that more into marketing and ag and facts, to give more opportunities to achieve credits. But a lot of these kids too will tell you that they don't maybe have any interest in technically business, but that's the credit they're getting. They're getting the experience in whatever avenue or path that they would like to go down. So we're able to combine the business credits with still the experiences that they want and that they're trying to pursue. So we have competency-based courses, and they turn in artifacts, which are pieces of projects that they've done, or reflections on meetings or interactions, any type of thing that they've done while they're in CAPS. They're turning in these artifacts that we're then looking at and grading to give them that, whatever the credit. Yeah, exactly. The credit that they need. And with that, it provides too a coaching opportunity where it's a scale of 1 to 4, and maybe they turn in something and it's a 1. And we've had a lot of that where in the beginning it's a 1. And so you have to have conversation and coaching opportunities of, this is great, and I understand what you're wanting, but let's take it up a level and let's get it to a 3 or a 4. And if we add this piece and we talk about, remember when you did that, or you did X or Y, include that. And now we've completely, we've hit that standard, which is what DESE still wants us, to abide by. The weekly reflections, we still have all of that as well. And they self-reflect. We meet as a team with me and Ms. Lager and the students, and we talk about how we did for the week and the growth and the projects, just a kind of a check-in. And then at the end, they'll pick at least 3 of their projects that they've completed this semester. They'll get client reviews and evaluations. They'll self-reflect. And then we'll also have that kind of coaching opportunity to talk about the failures and the ahas and the successes and all of that. So that's what kind of my piece here was talking about. It is still coaching them up on all of that and growing from the failures. Like Kinley was talking about with the delivery service, she was ready to quit. And I said, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But what have you learned? And we learned X, Y, and Z, but here she is still pushing through a week later, 2 weeks later, and she's going to have that first dry run of a delivery service. So it's just been awesome. It's been, like I said, the best year yet. Every year it gets a little bit better. Next semester or next year is going to be hard to top this one. This one's going to hold a special place, but I'm excited for the growth and the scaling that this has. And I think that's all I have. Probably just a picture at the end.
There they are.
Are any of your students going to start a business?
Nope.
Yeah.
They're like, nope. We did have, I will share, we did have a student in the middle school who was bringing stuff to school to sell. And so the middle school principal was going to talk to him about going and pitching it to the school store. So he can't sell it at school, but you can sell it at the school store.
And we have had some in the past too that have gone through Tigers on Main that do, I think I'm thinking of photography in particular.
Oh, yes.
She runs a little photography business on the side and was taking senior pictures and family pictures and all kinds of stuff last year. As a senior,
Yeah.
She was running that kind of stuff. So,
and I think during that she started her own website and put those pictures online for people to purchase. And so it's kind of like a side hustle that she wants to continue into college. So
Yep.
yes.
How did you acquire your building, and how did the school district buy it?
We acquired it through COVID funding. And I had to jump through a few more hoops to get that. But really it was seamless. Even now, even without that money, you could go purchase a storefront. Everything from insurance to the building. We bought it outright. I would say the first year it had a negative, right? So when you think of businesses, you want it to be profitable. So I had to quickly remind my board that this is just another classroom. And so we're not here our classrooms don't generate revenue, other than the amazing knowledge our students have. But I had to kind of reshift that thinking of this is just a classroom outside of the school building. So, but no, I think a lot of small rural communities are, there's not a lot of storefronts and there's not a lot of activities going downtown. And I think we just thought either be part of the problem or the solution. And so that's kind of how we embrace that, tried to help our community by doing that.
What's the best method you have used to advertise the store in Plattsburgh and in the region?
We started a Facebook page for it. We ran into a couple of issues with students posting from the school and everything. So we have to, once we design the post, then get approval from whatever admin is running the Facebook for that year. But otherwise, flyers, just talking to people, I think really.
We have a pretty good community, so once they hear about us, it just kind of starts traveling around.
Yep. And I think last year, the year before, there was a student working there, and I think Instagram was the mode of choice, and so they were trying to generate, which is good because if you don't have a lot of foot traffic in the store, is what they discovered. How can we get more people into the store? Well, let's reach out to students. Students are on Instagram, and so last year I know they did some videos for Instagram, and so it's kind of whatever the interest of the students and where they kind of want to take that. But I will tell you, at our chamber meeting yesterday, there was several products in our gift exchange that I could tell were purchased at the store. So I was like, hey, I know where that came from. So
that's wonderful. I've been to that gift exchange. It is so much fun. And and having been to many Plattsburgh chamber meetings, it seems like there's always students there. So whether they're from the store or from the CAPS program or from something else in the school district, you make yourselves known in the community. So you're a wonderful community asset, and vice versa. The community is a great asset for the school. So you can find probably Sandy and Lucas on their website for the Plattsburgh R3 school district, but you can always connect with Annette and I and have a happy holiday and a great new year, and we will see you in 2025.